Excuse me!
Kalima.
Oh no!
Kalima.
Someone save me! Oh no!
Kalima.
Oh no!
Kalima.
No! Oh no!
Kalima. Kalima. What? Pod Racer? Star Wars Episode 1 Racer was released in 1999 on Windows, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, and Macintosh. It was then released on the Sega Dreamcast in 2000, along with an arcade version. Today, I'll be playing it on the Nintendo 64. I've got my air mattress blown up, pajamas, snacks, enough soda to give me diabetes, and my trusty Nintendo 64. It's like I'm back in 1999 having a slumber party by myself. Just because a video game takes place in a movie that you don't really like doesn't mean you won't like the game, right? Just because a game's entire reason for existing is based on a single event that you find narratively pointless in a movie doesn't mean that the game will feel pointless too, right? Episode 1 Racer is an extremely basic racing game, like many racing games of the day. There are 4 different game modes. Tournament, where you unlock new tracks, racers, earn money to buy parts and droids. Tournament mode is the main mode of the game. And then there's Free Race, which is basically just a practice mode, and you don't earn anything. You don't unlock anything. And then there's Time Attack, which is basically the same thing as Free Race, but instead of racing other racers, you're racing against the clock. And then there's 2-player, self-explanatory. I'm not sure why the game didn't take advantage of the Nintendo 64's 4-player capabilities. That would have made sense. Oh well. You get to pick a bunch of characters to play as. I don't remember ever playing as anyone else other than Anakin when I was a kid. I probably never even looked at the stats. I probably didn't care about any of that stuff. Anakin was one of the main characters of the movie, so I wanted to play as Anakin. They could have just called the game Anakin Racer, but people like options, even when those options rarely ever get picked or played. The controls feel great. I don't remember them feeling this good. Before I fired up the game again, I was dreading it. For some reason, I remember the controls being super slippery and insanely difficult. I'm not sure why I remember it being that way, but the controls are solid. You really feel like you're zooming at a high rate of speed, especially when you fire up the boosters. Episode 1 Racer is a simple game. Get in first place, it's a racing game, that makes sense. You'll run into some hazards that aim to slow you down. Ice, lava, rocks, jumps, narrow corridors, and other pod racers, which can do heavy damage. You can upgrade your pod, repair your pod. It's simple, really, but it's fun for a little while. And then you realize you haven't seen any other pods for a few minutes. And you wonder if anyone else is out there. Am I alone? Did everyone quit this race? Is Game Genie punishing me for cheating so much? I'm so lonely! The weirdest part of this game is what's not in this game. As you're zooming across the landscape during a race, there's no music. None. It feels like such an insanely huge missed opportunity. Toss in some random Phantom Menace soundtrack songs. I don't even care if they match the tone of the race. I need something. Because of the lack of music, every single race feels empty. You're just listening to a pod racer's blow-dryer engine for a few minutes, and you occasionally hear your character yell something or other racers yell something as they zoom by or crash into you. And if you're like me, you constantly hear the sound of rocks destroying your pod racer. With all of the other Star Wars games that were out at the time, Episode 1 Racer rarely got played in my house. It wasn't the game that my friends and I wanted to constantly blow off and pop in. It is fun, don't get me wrong. It's a solid racing game set in the prequel universe that takes a scene from the movie and puts it in your hands. For a console game from 1999, it looks pretty. I mean, it is a racing game where you're traveling at an insane rate of speed, so there's not much detail in the environment. But hey, it doesn't look half bad if you're going full steam ahead. So, if you've never played Episode 1 Racer, should you? You know, if you have kids, they might enjoy it. They might get a kick out of playing it. Maybe. Probably not. I mean, look at all the games at everyone's disposal nowadays. But if you're looking for a kick of nostalgia from an old friend long gone, you might as well find a way to play it. That's exactly what I was aiming to do, but it wore out its welcome really fast. I appreciate it for what it is, but I'd rather play Shadows of the Empire, or Dark Forces, or Rogue Squadron, or Super Star Wars on the SNES. Episode 1 Racer seems quaint, a little relic from the past that didn't get much playtime from me, and often sat in a drawer as I had fun with other better Star Wars games, or better racing games. I played a lot of F-Zero, or Cruisin' USA, or San Francisco Rush. Yeah, they weren't Star Wars games, but they were better racing games. So, with all that being said, I think I'll put it back in that drawer for another 17 years. Anakin and his pod racing pals will be in suspended animation until then, forever sitting in limbo until I decide to pull the cartridge out and put it back in the console, wondering where their master went, wondering if I'll ever come back. But I'm never coming back. Sorry, bye. Sorry, little Anakin. Sorry, little Annie. Bye.
Always with you, it cannot be done.